Hi, I'm Chip, and I've been on the hunt for some indie games recently. These indie games have been what I've been up to for the past couple of months, and a lot of these I've loved. I've sicked demons and played poker, but I figured that I wanted to play something that I found for myself, since many of these games have been recommended to me from other creators on YouTube. And so, as I browsed Steam, I stumbled upon this game called Robobeat. Robobeat is an action roguelike first-person shooter and a rhythm game combined into one. And it's awesome! It's like you're clicking circles to the beat, but instead, you're clicking heads to the beat. Which is dope! In this game, you'll be playing as Ace, a robot bounty hunter with a fantastic taste in music. You'll be shooting, slicing, exploding, smashing, jumping, bunny hopping, wall hopping, ground pounding your way through a derelict JB hi-fi to hunt the big bad at the end of the game. Occasionally, you'll find rooms that are different to those arenas. You'll know which rooms you're going to be going into based on the symbols that are on the door. To start, there's the gift room, the room where you can find more utilities to help you with the run. Utilities like a blink function, or the ability to slow down time, or a grappling hook, Titanfall 2, an attack on Titan style charge attack, or my personal favorite, a giant claw sniper rifle to deal big boy damage to whatever you're aiming at. Other than utilities, these same gift rooms can also give you weapons instead. They give you a choice between two different weapons and then you just switch them out. Other than the gift room, you also have a shop where you can buy weapons and also buy utilities from a range that they give you. The weapons and utilities you find in the gift room and the shop are usually quite beneficial for you in your run because they're of a higher level. The awesome thing about the weapons though are the different ways that these weapons work. Each and every single one of these weapons are completely different to one another. Here are a couple examples. We have a revolver that rewards headshots and accuracy, a gun that ricochets off walls, a shotgun that lets you get up close and personal, guns that electrocute people, guns that burn people, even melee weapons like a f***ing katana. It might just be the weeb in me, but you give me a katana in a game and I assure you, I will be using it. There's also this thing that the game calls a data chip room, where you can alter the way that the game plays as a whole. Some of these alterations are kinda basic, but very powerful. Like, oh, you do 15% more crit damage in exchange for 15% less regular damage. Another one is like, oh, you take 15% less damage from all sources. But some of these are super cool. You can slide faster, or you can jump higher after you slide. You can have better maneuverability in the air, or you can drift instead of slide. That's super cool. I love that one. The movement of this game, I'm gonna be honest here, it does remind me a bit of Ultra Kill, and I say that in a positive light. I mean, the movement of this game feels like Ultra Kill. The way that you can move yourself in the arena feels so organic. Once you get like the flow of the movement, everything just clicks, right? It's kind of hard for me to put it in words, so here's some gameplay to just show you how the movement is like. Now, so far, the game might seem like your usual movement boomer shooter with a roguelike twist, and that on its own I think is already super cool, but again, there's still one aspect that we haven't covered. Whenever you boot up the game, or every time you die, you return to this place called the Hub. And before you even get to the point where you can select a level, this button prompt comes up. Pick your music, and this is where the beat of Robobeat comes into play. You get to choose a wide array of music that you will continue to unlock over the course of your runs, and you have to play the game along to the beat of the song. Simply put, you have to shoot to the beat. Some weapons need you to wait for one beat before shooting, or some weapons will require you to wait for 3. And that gives a very interesting dynamic to the way that the game plays, especially if you have weapons that shoot at different beats. As of the writing of this video, I've put about 10 hours into the game, and so far my favorite weapons have been the revolver, which is a weapon that you can shoot on every beat. There's this pistol called Clockwork that lets you shoot at every beat, but the damage is delayed until the next beat. There's also these dual spinning blades that you shoot out, and then it stays there for about like 3 beats, and then you have to shoot at it so that it can deal more damage to more people. You get the idea. Different weapons, different weapon interactions, different beats. The really cool part is that the different tempos of each of the song change the way that you play the game. A slower song, like this one, makes you shoot slower, but your enemies also move slower, shoot slower, and do everything slower. On the other hand, a faster song like this lets you shoot faster. But your enemies are harder to track because they also move faster and shoot faster. So the decision is up to you, really. How do you want to play the game? Alright, I forgot this one really important thing about a lot of modern boomer shooters. You can parry in this game. I hope that piqued your interest, but trust me, there's still so much more to this game than meets the eye. One of the most exciting features of the game is the combo system. Now, let me be clear, there's still some aspects I need to talk about before we get to the combo system, so let me introduce you to the different things that you can use to build a combo. To start, unlike other shooters where reloading is a constant factor, this game introduces a unique charging mechanic. Essentially, instead of reloading your weapon, you charge it, changing the way that a gun works. It can vary from increasing the damage to you bonking your enemies over the head with a hammer instead of throwing it, like Thor. Of course, you still have to charge your weapon to the beat, because it is still a rhythm game. Now, this charge feature is actually a part of the combo system that this game has, which also includes parrying. Let me show you what I mean. This is how the combo system works. Every weapon has their own set of combo abilities, and by chaining together the different moves required for the ability, you can get extra bonuses to your gameplay. To be more specific, I'm gonna use the wiki to help me with the numbers here. Let's use the revolver as an example. If you just shoot the gun, then it does the usual amount of damage. But if you charge and shoot, it gives your shot a piercing bonus along with 2 times the damage that a regular shot does. If you parry and then attack, it deals what the game calls a counterattack bonus that deals area of effect damage and deals around 3.5 times the damage on each enemy that is caught within the area of effect. Now this is where it gets crazy. There is an upgraded version of the counterattack where you first have to parry, then charge, then attack. This is a counterattack with a piercing add-on that deals a large amount of damage to a straight line of enemies. So, you get 2 times the damage from the charge, along with a second hit that deals around 10 times damage to the people behind, which is nuts. And lastly, we have aimbot. This bonus allows you to automatically target 2 enemies that are in your line of sight. Also, to do the aimbot, you have to first parry and then charge twice and then shoot. That's how you do the aimbot. And then also deals 2.5 times the damage. That's a lot, right? Now that's just one weapon, that's just a revolver. Different weapons also offer different combo abilities, and that's where things get really interesting. There are still some weapons that I haven't really delved into as much as something like the revolver or the clockwork.
So figuring out all of these different weapons, different combinations, optimizing your approach to an arena, all of that needs a sort of fighting game labbing mentality that I personally really like. It's like every weapon has its own personality, and you can really get in tune with at least one of them with time and practice. And so I've gotten pretty decent with the revolver, and the other two weapons would be like the clockwork and the contact, which are still pretty similar weapons. But if you are into the other weapons, the grenade launchers, there's a submachine gun, and of course the melee weapons. If you are more into that, go for it. As long as it gets you into a flow, which, speaking of, this game is incredibly effective at that. It gets you into that zone, that like state where your body and brain are just perfectly in sync, and just everything just clicks. If you play rhythm games, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's like that feeling of just letting everything around you go, and then just focusing on that one game, or like that one task, right? You know, I've always been into rhythm games. I admit, I used to be really big into Osu, and gives that sort of feeling for me. Honestly, I kind of miss that feeling too. Instead of clicking circles to the beat, you're clicking heads, you're dodging bullets, you're pulling off ridiculous combos, all in rhythm with the music. And so there's this distinct pleasure in syncing up your movements to the soundtrack, and it has like a sort of harmony, right? You're creating a harmony between your gameplay and the music. And so it feels like you're making a shooter montage in real time. And it's awesome. There's a satisfaction of landing headshots to the beat, dodging attacks as you slide across the floor, slamming into enemies, and even grinding across obstacles. It's an adrenaline rush. It's really a big dopamine hit. Oh man, I feel like I just sounded like a junkie. Even with all of the really cool things that I have to talk about, there are still some gripes that I have with the game. The first one is the repetition factor. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You're playing a roguelite. Of course it's gonna be repetitive. I mean, yeah. If you, like me, are the kind of player that tends to loop the same song repeatedly, especially once you get into the zone, you might start to feel like you've hit a bit of a wall. Thankfully, the game does allow you to switch songs on the fly, which is a really nice feature. But there's something about the flow of the game where you're really zoned into one track, and suddenly changing the song mid-level can really disrupt that vibe. Especially when you're not using a mixtape, because you have to press a different button, and then you have to scroll through the different songs and all that stuff. With the mixtape, it's actually better, because although you can't really pick the song that it chooses for you, it constantly changes on its own. And to me, I prefer it that way. Again, this is a very minor thing, but it's worth mentioning, especially for those people who like to get lost in the music. And for people who are already really into roguelites and don't mind a bit of repetition, it might not even be an issue. The second point I want to mention is the difficulty spike. The game starts out with a nice manageable pace, but there's a pretty significant jump between the second and third levels. It's definitely a step up in challenge, and if you're not prepared for it, it can be a bit jarring. And the same thing happens when you're going from the third to the fourth level. And I admit, this is mostly a skill issue. I haven't even beaten the game yet because I couldn't beat the fourth level. But if you're new to this kind of gameplay, you might find it to be a pretty difficult curve to step up from. That said, if you played a lot of movement shooters, you'll probably adjust pretty quickly, but still something to be mindful of. Now, despite these few criticisms, I still think that this game is an absolute gem. When you consider that it was developed by a single person, it's even more impressive. The mechanics are tight, the gameplay loop is addicting, and the soundtrack, chef's kiss. There's so much depth to explore, from mastering combos to experimenting with different weapon types and its interactions with the utilities. There are even secrets that you might find around the levels, and I haven't even found a lot of it, actually. I haven't even done a deeper dive into these. It's the kind of game that pulls you in, gets your heart pumping, and keeps you playing long after you thought you were done. And so, if any of this sounds interesting to you, I wholeheartedly recommend you to give this game a shot.
I still play this game pretty regularly, and I've still continued to find new ways to improve my skills and tackle the 4th level, and I still haven't beaten it. The rabbit hole is pretty deep, and every time I've mastered a new weapon, I discover a new combo or a new mechanic to use, and it is great. So if you're looking for an adrenaline-pumping shooter with a rhythmic twist, Robobeat will not disappoint. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I have not posted in a year, essentially. I've been so busy with all of the stuff I have in real life, and honestly, it's great to come back to making videos like this again. I have been wanting to make something like this for a long time, and I have talked a little bit about my inability to continue making videos that are solely on Yakuza, but I hope you guys understand because I want to explore a bit more. I want to do other things. I want to be able to focus on making content that I like instead of just making content that does well with numbers, right? Because I don't want to only look at you guys as numbers. I want to be able to interact with you guys and all that stuff. So I have decided to take a small break from making Yakuza content and focus on making videos that I want to make as well. There's going to be something completely different coming up, and I am fully back into the game again because I love making videos. I want to continue making videos, and I hope you continue to watch them. If you have anything that you want to discuss, please do leave them down in the comments below. I'll make sure to read them, and if I can respond, I will definitely respond. And of course, please do give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I appreciate every single one.
Thank you guys once again for watching the video. Remember to stay kind and stay chipper.